Greetings and welcome, brave citizens of our new world. I'm Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius, Dr. Terawatt. This is our layer 3.0, and today is day 11 of our V.E.D.A challenge, V.E.D.A vlogging every day in April. Let's get on to those questions. How do you deal with a toxic person? Oh god. Alright, so right out of the gate, that is... Whew, that's a big one. In my personal experience, I always try to confront those people, knowing that 9 times out of 10, confronting a toxic person will cause them to sort of defend themselves, to armor up, and make a lot of excuses for their behavior, because choosing to make excuses and not to change and to better themselves is a decision that asks nothing of them. They don't have to admit that they've done anything heinously wrong, or that they've made bad decisions, or that they've chosen to be a bad person thus far. They don't have to make any effort to change their behaviors or become better. It's easy just to blame everyone else for your behavior, or to blame your behavior on some other thing that's out of your control, when oftentimes it is something that you can change. It is something that you control. It just requires effort, and some people it may require greater effort than others. But that's just that. If you can't manage to confront that person, or you don't think it's worth it to put in that effort, because sometimes it's just not, or in the case that you have put in the effort to try and confront them, like politely, to try to discuss with them how their behavior is damaging other people, even like getting an intervention together, and it's still not working, then just stop talking to those people. If it's a situation like they're just part of a scene that you're a part of, but they're not constantly with you every day, like work or something like that, then it does make a lot of sense to just stop talking or interacting with them. Even if it is someone that you work with, like if it's one of your coworkers, you don't have to interact with them. If they're going to be childish and toxic, then let them, and just continue working and focusing on what it is that you're doing, and try not to let their behavior impact your stuff as much as if at all. But yeah, just cut them off, walk away, live your life. Hey Dr. Terawatt, I like the new haircut, although I'm still recovering from the mental scars I saw from your photo shoot, and I'm glad to see that Hezbel is still cute than she was last year. But this is V.E.D.A, damn it, and I have a question. Hearing the news of Mega Man games are coming out, mainly Mega Man X Legacy Collections 1 and 2, are you interested in Mega Man 11? If not, would you be interested if they were to make a Legacy Collection of Mega Man Legends, including the Misadventures of Tronbon? Absolutely. I very badly want more games like that. Like, they re-released the Misadventures of Tronbon on the PlayStation Store so that you could pick it up on PS3, and I did that, and I played it again, and it's such a fun game. I love it so much. I really wish that they would sort of like release those again, either on PC or just on the PlayStation Store as like a full Legacy collection that you can download on the PS4 or something like that, because I'd love to play those games again. And it would definitely show Capcom that there is money in this franchise already, though I'm positive that they already know that there's money in this franchise already, but because of the problems that they had with the original creator, they've sort of like cemented themselves into the attitude that they will never make another good Mega Man game ever again, just to spite him. Doc, with this virus of yours, how are you going to stop the general population from just not doing anything? A lot of people do things like travel the world, climb mountains, etc., because life is short. With humanity becoming bother culturally and technologically stagnant because if I'm not going to die, I can always do it tomorrow. Here's the thing, I disagree that the reason why people do anything at all is because life is short. People do things because they enjoy them. People go on long trips, they travel the world, they climb mountains and stuff because they want to. They want to show that they are capable of doing those things. Some people do those things in their latter years because they have more time, they've retired, and now they're like, well, I'm going to do these things before I die because I've always wanted to. Imagine if you had unlimited time, though. Imagine if every 60 years or so you could go travel the world on a bunch of money you've been saving up over 60 years. You've been saving a bunch of money and you get to live for like 10, 20 years just on the money you've been saving, and you can do stuff like go climb mountains and travel the world and do all these crazy things. Of course you would. Lots of people already do that, especially people that have those kinds of funds just lying around. They go on trips to other countries and they travel the world and they have fun. Imagine you get to do those things while you're in your early 20s, physically. You don't have to wait until you're old and broken and falling apart before you get to enjoy those experiences. Sure, there'll be some people that will indefinitely put those things off because, well, I can always do it later and later and later, but I imagine those people would still get around to it eventually, right? Hey Doc, I remember either last V.E.D.A or the V.E.D.A before it when you were talking about your future society. In one video you said you would borrow from socialism. Because of that, I wanted to ask if you had read Das Kapital or if you could talk more on your thoughts of socialism. Haven't read it, but my thoughts generally stem from the fact that capitalism isn't working here. It's just not. Capitalism has allowed corporations to grow, become unchecked, and in effect buy and sell the government. The government is supposed to write regulations and legislation and laws and whatnot for the interest of the people. But they've long since abandoned that station, in my opinion. They're not doing anything for the greater good of society anymore. They're doing everything for money. Corporations won't move to greener technology or newer technology or better technology because, oh, it will cost me a little bit. Not even it's too expensive, it's just it will cost me a bit and I don't want to. Why switch to something that could, keep people more healthy and not poison them literally with our food and help defend the environment and save our planet if it's going to cost me an extra 50 cents per unit or something? No, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to keep being a jerk and poisoning everything and killing people because that helps me, get a few extra bucks at the end of the year. That's capitalism. Socialism is systems like everyone gets paid the same amount no matter what. The government has a lot more control over what happens in their country, and in a lot of countries, it's worked fantastically. Some of the top-rated, happiest countries in the world don't follow capitalist structures. They do things like teach kids sex ed at age 6. They do things like pay everybody an equal wage. But that's not to say that we're going to completely get rid of everything that is our capitalist society, but I feel like there's like a middle ground in there somewhere that we can find where things are still colorful and vibrant and individual and beautiful and also at the same time not crushing debt and poison and a million other awful things that come with our society. That's why I say I'm going to borrow from socialism and not adopt it entirely. Hey Doc, I knew Supervillain. Look for a nemesis. Do you? How I can get one? It is astounding the lack of capitalization and punctuation in that sentence, except the word nemesis. Man, the grammar today on questions is... whew. If you're a new supervillain and you're looking for a nemesis, I would say just keep doing supervillain evil stuff. Eventually, one will sort of attach itself to you, like, fall out of the frickin' word well enough. Though I doubt she would ever do this, because she is the sweetest cinnamon roll. Are you afraid Hess would be the one to defeat you and take your place as Toronto's greatest supervillain? I welcome it. I welcome it. Honestly, I'm not sure that she would ever do such a thing, but I welcome her to try because I think that it would A, be fantastic, and B, if she did, she might even make a better villain than I would. In addition to that, I think it is funny that I am a Macbeth, and we still carry the legend that we cannot be slain by anyone born a woman, and Hess was in fact born of a C-section. So, food for thought. I asked this question before, but it didn't make it on V.E.D.A because I asked it leading up to the day you celebrated Hess's birthday, and I didn't post it again since the moment had passed. But since you brought up fending off superheroes, the moment has come again. Where has Captain Awesome been, and how is he doing? We haven't seen him in a while. I haven't seen him in a while either, honestly. If you see him, let me know. Hello, I have a quick fun question. Any interesting science mishap stories? Oh, ye ghosty toast. Okay, so there is one actually that I like to share, which is kind of fun. Back in the day when I was getting started with the whole Supervillainy thing, I was still experimenting a lot with equipment and science and everything else before I decided to adopt the moniker. I was playing around with the settings on a butane lighter. On the bottom of it, it had a little screw that you could turn one way or the other to adjust the size of the flame that comes out of the lighter itself. And I was like, oh, this is cool. If I turn it this way, the flame gets larger. So I figured I just keep turning it, and it'll eventually hit a maximum and stop. That's not what happened. I just kept going and turning it, and then the little pin shot out and missed me, and then the pressurized butane just came out and was all up the one side of my face, and it was just this cloud, and I had my eye closed when it happened, thankfully, and I was like, whoa, oh, that was scary, and then I walked myself into the bathroom with my one eye shut, and it was just this mist on the one side of my face. It just looked like I was wet, and I was like, oh man. And then I wiped my hand down the side of my face, and like about 4 layers of skin came off. And I was just pink on this side of my face for like a week until my skin grew back. The butane, when it flash decompressed, it became so cold that it actually flash froze the top few layers of skin on my face, and I didn't even feel it. So that's the thing that happened. I was once told that the difference between a villain and a supervillain was presentation. That anyone can make a laser satellite, but only a true supervillain would make a giant robot space laser octopus because no one's done it before. Thoughts? I mean, that's pretty much it. I always say that the difference between a criminal and a villain is presentation. Criminals, they put on ski masks and they run into a bank and they rob the bank. Villains will don a costume, they make a persona, they adopt theming and minions and grandiose gestures and monologuing and things like that. They make a day of it. They make it thematic. Presentation, that's the difference. And yeah, one could even say that the difference between a villain and a supervillain is additionally presentation. Anybody could make a laser satellite, but then if you turn the laser satellite into a huge mechanical octopus that shoots lasers out of its mouth and things like, that's so much more. And if it fits in with the theming of you as like a nautical science supervillain, like it adds to it. And it's just so exciting and fun for me to just think of those things, you know? You call yourself Toronto's greatest supervillain, but Professor Skull clearly has more money and tech. What makes you greater? Thing is, Professor Skull is a global supervillain, so he doesn't really have necessarily a territory, so to speak. I consider myself Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius. For now. Doc, help, my old villain team made a brotherhood that's against science. What should I do? Tesla, geez, leave. If the evil league that you're involved with right now, the villain team that you've established with other people, decided to become a brotherhood that's against science, and you're a science-based villain, leave. Don't sacrifice your personal choices, theming, and everything else just because a couple of other people that are in your group of friends decide to go a different direction. If they're not the kind of people you want to hang out with anymore, then go hang out with someone else. Find other science-based villains and make a new group. In regards to your cartoon series, if it gets off the ground, would you make a series that is full-on fun fantasy ideas but still grounded in reality, like, say, for example, Batman or Spider-Man, where you could have a fantastical idea on the show, like a giant robot, but all over the characters still obey the laws of physics? Or would you make a cartoon that is wacky and silly, have animated Doc be more like a Wile E. Coyote type who could be blown up and flattened but would just spring back to life and toss anvils and sticks of TNT at his enemies? Oh, definitely a much more grounded, realistic story. If we do an animated series, it is definitely going to tell the story as realistic as possible, so like falling from several stories onto the ground is still a lethal thing that could happen to people. If their abilities or the equipment that they're wearing doesn't allow them to get around that, then yeah. Doc, you've talked about how if you had to go up against a comic book hero, you'd choose Iron Man. What about a villain? How do you think you would stack up against Lex Luthor? If you both tried to take over the world at the same time, it might get sticky. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if sticky is a word that I'd use to describe a conflict like that, but I would relish the opportunity to go up against somebody like Lex Luthor. It would less be like, oh, I'm a hero and you're a villain. It would more be like, you know, may the best man win, and kind of shake hands and then go to the either end of a field and then have at it, right? Like, field being the planet, more or less. And then just anything goes. You just try to do what you can and use what's possible to try and outthink and outmaneuver the other person. I think that that would be so cool. Since you'll eventually disband the various forms of military around the world, thus greatly increasing the number of unemployed, what solutions do you have to offer for future employment? Well, that's a big thing, because it's not just going to be the military, it's also going to be things like local law enforcement is going to be replaced with automated systems as well. At least on the ground level, like just the police force on the ground level is going to be automated. So honestly, a lot of people are going to get laid off, and I feel that, and especially with everyone suddenly becoming immortal, a lot of people are going to get laid off in the geriatrics area as well. No more old folks' homes, no more nurses to take care of them, etc., etc. A lot of people are going to be unemployed. There is going to be a system in check to basically give those people several years and free education to choose something else to do with their lives. And even if it was someone that's like, I want to protect people all the time, and I was maybe a firefighter, but I was replaced by a robot that fights fires now, like, what am I going to do? I don't know. Find something else to do. You have X number of years to pick something, get educated, and start doing that for the rest of your days, because especially in a system where everyone gets paid the same, just do what you want now. Like, do something that you enjoy. If you've always wanted to pick up painting or something, or if you've always wanted to maybe be a mechanic and fix cars, or even fix the robots that now do the firefighting, or fight fires alongside of them if those positions are still available, then go nuts. But it shouldn't be something that you do because you have to. And we are very certainly not going to be abandoning those people if those people run into that situation. We're not just going to say, okay, you don't have a job, get out of here. Like, no, we're going to help get those people back into society somewhere else. If they're not here anymore, that job doesn't exist now, let's see if we can find another place for them. There's going to be counselors and social workers there to assist in getting these people sort of reorganized. And that's all the questions that I'm going to do for today, because I'm exhausted. I just got out of the gym. I'm trying to do this before our stream instead of after it, because I don't want to be up until 5 in the morning again. So yeah, until next time, my brave citizens, I'm Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius, Dr. Terawatt. This is our Layer 3.0, and I will see you again tomorrow on our next episode of V.E.D.A. End of line.